From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. It is Keith Allen. It's Halloween, and we got a full show lined up for you. We're not going to try to scare you too much, but it is Halloween. And man, the left, Hillary Clinton, they, in the worst way, want to make sure that Donald Trump is ejected from the White House. They want to impeach him with all the Paul Manafort and the indictments going on and the investigation going on. Hillary Clinton says, I have a great chapter about Russia in my book about Mueller's indictment. Yeah, she's brushing off questions about the unsealing of the first indictments under Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Russia probe, pointing reporters to her latest book for comment. Don't ask her directly, just buy the book, trying to sell more books, because she says she knows exactly what happened. She says, I have a great chapter about Russia here. Clinton responded and shouted queries from the press at an event in Waukegan, Illinois, when she was promoting her 2016 campaign memoir, What Happened. Says you can find out what happened and what is still happening, she added, according to ABC News. Of course, buy the book. I am not buying the book. I'm not going to give Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton a single dime. I've already given enough time. I don't need to be lied to or hoodwinked, because that's what people have been for too long from them with the speeches that have been made over there in Russia. Now, as far as Manafort goes, folks, the dealing with Ukraine and with money there and money laundering and all this other crap, and now the left is saying it's Kushner is going to be into this, because what about the meetings there and collusion there, that they're going to try to take out as much as they. This is a takeout piece. They're trying to take out Donald Trump and anybody associated with him with this whole Russia deal. And Donald Trump points it out on Twitter, saying that the fake news is working overtime. As Manafort's lawyer said, there was no collusion, and events mentioned took place long before the campaign. Few people knew the young, low-level volunteer named George, who had already proven to be a liar. Check the Dems. He says, I hope people will start to focus on our massive tax cuts for businesses, jobs, in the middle class. But they're fixated on this, of course, because they think this is, I got you. I'm going to get you. Manafort is associate Rick Gates, as you know, were arraigned yesterday on the 12-count federal indictment that included charges of money laundering, lying, and conspiracy. Both were held on house arrest. Trump and the White House are distancing themselves from the former advisor, saying his role was extremely limited and that anything nefarious that you're saying it's happening, it wasn't done. They didn't. Folks, I believe, truthfully, that Donald Trump did not know the information about Ukraine and as much involvement as they had in Russia. But they're not the only ones that were dealing with Russia. Obama and the FBI, they knew that there was stuff going on with the election, which that's what the Dems said. The whole point with people are furious about Donald Trump believing that there was such interference with the elections and at the ballots and with advertising that forget about the money that Hollywood and that the DNC outspent Trump for dollar like 10-1, but it doesn't matter. They don't want to hear any of that stuff. It's just like it's a clanging cymbal. Bang, bang, bang. They don't want to hear it. These are facts. But they've made up their minds that the Trumps all along colluded with Russia, put it in the bag. The Trump's in the White House because they meddled with the voting machines. This is what the left really believes in their heart of hearts, that the machines were all rigged, that everybody that went to the ballot that voted for Donald Trump, that they helped with their ads on Facebook. That's what did it. It's just ridiculous. Now, what money that this guy made, George Papadopoulos, who pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI, look, these people are probably going to do some time. These people are in charge as indictable information. But to sit there and say that Donald Trump, they did this stuff before, and they lied. Didn't have Donald Trump lying. His limited role with what he didn't have a cabinet position in the White House. It was low level, and that's what the White House is going with, distancing themselves, and rightly so. Trump last tweeted in a post that also addressed the Manafort indictment. Rather than support his former campaign frontman, Trump's tweet Monday pointed out that all of the Manafort's alleged illegal efforts took place well before he became Trump campaign chairman in May of 2016. However, part of the special counsel Robert Mueller indictment alleges that Manafort was engaged in fraud against banks and the federal government from 2008 till 2017, well after he resigned as a campaign chairman in August of 2016. But the Dems don't hear that one either. And I'm really beginning to believe that the Dems actually are hearing what they want to hear. You know, when we pointed out facts, when Hillbilly was out there about what she said she was going to fix, she's going to fix the economy. She would have been implying more of his failed policies, and it's worth repeating. But instead of, a Dem, and I've talked to one, and I don't like to get in a fight and all that, but I like to point out, facts about the state of the economy, about Americans being out of work, about how many Americans living in poverty, about how many people were on food stamps or the lowest home ownership in 51 years, and the national debt skyrocketing $19.5 trillion under Barack Obama. But these things are starting to be erased. There's, last month over 1.5 million off welfare. It was up to more than 10 million Americans added to food stamps during Barack Obama's 8 years. 10 more million, so there's now 9 million on food stamps, or a little less than 9 mil. Still a lot of people. 43 million Americans living in poverty. 94 million Americans were out of work. That number, the unemployment's down. Wall Street's high, optimism's higher. Forget about the ABC poll, the CNN polls, about numbers, about Trump's polls. I could care less. I want to see action. I want to see less regulations. I want to see lower taxes. That's what left says. Oh, this was the big discussion that I had. No, the only people that they're going to give tax breaks to is going to be the richest of the rich. And to be quite honest with you, if they get some tax breaks, I could care less. They have to pay their taxes. But if they pay a little lesser taxes because they employ tens of thousands of people that do pay their taxes, but they're making the middle class pay less tax, and they don't want to talk about Ronald Reagan in the 80s where we actually did get out of the hole. The stimulus package did work in the 80s, in the early 80s, 82, 83. And things started seeing improvement. And they didn't instantly roll it out. It was a deal with the Dems back then, if you can remember back in the 80s, that were made that did get us going and fuel the economy. And it's proven that lower taxes do incentivize people to spend and put more money back in the economy and start businesses, et cetera, et cetera. One thing Obama did was put regulations on it with Obamacare and all this, when people couldn't even employ more people. They tied the hands of businesses that wanted to hire more but couldn't afford it. Well, now, thank God, in a long time, finally, people can actually start dreaming again, the American dream. Folks, don't give up. There's a fight ahead, and we knew going into Washington with the Trump movement that drained the swamp, it was going to get ugly, and that they were going to throw everything and anything at Donald Trump that they possibly could. And Russia's the big story, trying to show that Donald Trump had business dealings. People say, oh, he's got businesses over there, and he's colluding with the Russians, and all he cares about is the money that he's making for these foreign governments. Or how about he hasn't shown his tax returns? And how about he's still receiving money from his Trump organization? He's making money from the hotel that's down from the White House. These are the key elements. They're so worried about what Donald Trump is making. If Donald Trump makes money from the hotel down the street, his hotel that has his name on him, I'm not offended. I could care less. If they make money and the foreign dignitaries spend money, who cares? He didn't go in as a politician. He went as a businessman and has businesses. Stop hating. They had no problem taking his money when he wasn't running, and he gave money to the left, and they could care less. And by the way, he was saying these things along with Billy Bush a long time before they actually took and released that tape, and NBC was sitting on that tape for a long time. They knew the things that Donald Trump said, but now because it's convenient, they play politics when it's convenient with them. You know what a Dem cannot stand? When you throw things back at the things that they did, they don't even want to hear it. The mudslinging that they've done, the things that they've done, they don't want to hear it. They just would rather throw it out, all these misdeeds. And I said, where's the fact check? Oh, the Dems, the Republicans, they covered it up. They're making it up. I said, but where's the facts? We have where's the numbers? Where's the sources? Who's your source on this very thing? Who is it? Well, they have the House and the Senate, and they're hiding everything. The Dems have had every opportunity to be able to point to special investigators, special investigations to go on. They've had every advantage to be able to pull out, and if they could pull out a rabbit out of the hat showing that Donald Trump colluded, Kushner colluded, any other members that are part of his cabinet right now, none of them, not one. Now, I'm saying anybody who's committed a crime, lock them up. Lock them up. They've done something wrong. They've lied. They've money laundered. Get rid of them. And that part of the investigation, I think, warrants an investigation. But just to try to go for a witch hunt because you don't like somebody and you want to make it more into something that it's not, that's disgusting. That is the lowest that you could put. But that's just where they've stooped. This is just when you think that the left could not go any lower. To me, you take the party down a hole that I think at the end of the investigation, Donald Trump's numbers will go back up. He will say what he said all along, that I did not collude with the Russians. Investigation showed that they did not pull the ballots where people went out, that people were counted rightfully. And there was nothing to worry about there, that people voted for him fair and square. Hillary's out there with her book, and only because, one, she's a sore loser, but two, she is doing everything she can in her power to try to point during this opportunity with the book, with ABC News, as I just read, to prove that there was collusion, that everything is illegitimate, and that Manafort, all these people with Donald Trump. Trump was on the same